Alright, welcome back everybody, and it's kind of funny, I was having like this almost, kind of like shower thought moment where, wasn't in the shower, but kind of like had this moment where I was realizing that just how crazy it is to me that Mario Kart probably like has such a dominant hold on like the racing like market or like racing genre, and I don't know why, but it like just never occurred to me before. Like I never thought about it or even really considered it. But then I literally was just like sitting down, I think literally just like watching like baseball or something, not even something crazy, and literally just being like, huh, you're right. They probably do have a huge hold on the Mario Kart market now that I think about it, because, I mean, racing games have always been like a thing. Racing games as they aren't necessarily like a new genre. Like, growing up, I remember sometimes we would go to this pizza place. It was like one of those pizza like buffet style places, and we would literally in like the back corner next to like the bathrooms and like the soda machine and stuff at this location, they had like a little arcade cabinet that had like a couple of claw machines. I remember my personal favorite was they had like this pinball machine, but it was with like these tiny little bouncy balls that had a whole bunch of like different designs, and so me and my siblings would like do a thing where we would try and collect as many like new designs as we could. But along with that, they also had a ton of those like racing arcade cabinets where you would sit in the seats and put your hands on the steering wheel and actually drive like the realistic looking cars. So I'm like, racing genres as a whole is not like a new concept or anything that Mario Kart invented. I'm pretty sure there were racers, maybe not exactly kart racers, but definitely like some form of racing game, as well as maybe some like other like competition racers, because like I know that there like have been and also now are a lot of different ones, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at the time I think it was Sonic Racing. I'm trying to think, is it called like Supersonic Racing or Sonic Racing, because like the song calls it Supersonic Racing, but I don't know. It might have also just been called like Sonic R. So that one just like randomly like rambling and like speculating, because I don't remember, and I actually never played that, because I want to say it was released on like the Genesis. I may be wrong on that, but I didn't have a Genesis growing up. First console we ever got was the N64, so that's kind of where that started for me. And I don't think I ever got like a Sega like console ever. I'm like, now that I'm thinking about it, like we weren't exclusively Nintendo, because at some point decently early on after we had gotten like the N64, and I think we had a GameCube, maybe Game Boys at this point, I can't remember exactly, but we had like an original Xbox for the longest time. So, but I know that exists, and then of course, recently they have the Sega All-Stars Racing, which I have not played, kind of, and I say kind of because they had an app that was like the Sega All-Stars Racing that I actually played a bunch, and I thought was actually really fun. But I don't think I've ever played like any of like the console releases, which I feel like probably have more stuff to it, if I'm being honest. So, at least that I can think of. But I'm like, other than that, some other ones that come to mind, you know, some of which, you know, good, some of which bad. I know they had, like, the Garfield kart racer, as well as, funny enough, pretty sure, like, back in the 360 age, I think it was the Burger King kart racer, which I thought was so funny. And, like, from everything I've seen because on that, like, the controls are just terrible. But I think it's so funny because, if I'm not mistaken, I think they had like a trilogy of Burger King games, because I know they had the Sneak King, which is also just, you know, absolute hot garbage. Maybe like one of these days, maybe I'll like save it for something goofy, like playing it on April Fool's Day or something, but I don't know, let me know if you guys would be interested in like me playing like this, like Sneak King, or just some of these other like really like either awful or just really goofy like type games. I would honestly, you know, be down as long as, you know, I don't have to finish that game necessarily. I don't know if I can make it all the way through Sneak King. I don't know if I could handle more than one video's worth of that, but I think it'd be pretty funny. But yeah, let me know if you guys like to see that. Maybe I could do that for a April Fool's, or maybe some kind of like a sub goal when I reach a certain subscriber count. Maybe I could also do that as like an incentive. But either way, I'm back to kind of like where I was getting at, was just that I feel like in terms of, you know, like the racing genre, it really just like, I mean, first, you know, comes up is like Mario Kart. I definitely think that there are some other like kind of markets for it too, like for like different kinds of racers, because I know that there's like a ton of those kart racers, especially on like Xbox and like PlayStation, that it's like the real life model cars, and like doing those racers, as well as I'm sure there's plenty of NASCAR stuff too, because I mean that's a super popular thing. But I'm like, in terms of racing like genre, to me just kind of dawned on me, you know, how much for most people like myself it's probably just Mario Kart for the most part, outside of maybe like a little here and there type thing. But you know, after my whole ranting session or rambling about Mario Kart, I did want to mention a few things about like this specific cup, the Turnip Cup that I'm playing right now. First of all, I think the biggest thing that I want to point out is just, so the last map that we played, the Calamari Desert, you know, originally an N64 map, I think that map is a really good example of like Nintendo applying like the Tor effect, as you know I've called it, to some of these like other maps to improve it. I feel like that's an example of a good job on how to do it, because Calamari Desert, I mean, is pretty straightforward. And I feel like switching up the track to driving on the train tracks is not like too crazy of a concept, because I don't know about you, but like I've done that already. In N64, I've 100% just gone off the rails, and I've gone and just driven like through the tunnel and everything. So it's like I've done it anyway, you know. I think it's actually a really cool way to switch it up, because admittedly I think there are a lot of courses, especially older courses, that like, wow, they're still really fun. They tend to have a lot of pretty simple elements to it a lot of the time. And I mean, you know, that could very well just be because of design, or it could also just be because of limitations at the time, you know, who knows. But I think in terms of that, like, it is it does end up being a pretty good way to kind of, change it up a little bit, make it a little bit more interesting than kind of, bit linear, I would say. But that being said, I also want to point out that it's just, I think this stage, Waluigi Pinball, is so fun. It's also so chaotic. And I feel like this is one of, like, the feats that, kind of thanks to Waluigi's name that is, like, most iconic is Waluigi Pinball. So much so that, I mean, when... I'm trying to think what the Mario Party... I want to say... It was either Superstars or Jamboree. I'm pretty sure it was Jamboree. But, like, his little, like, mini-game is literally just a pinball game, and I think that's so funny. But I feel like it's just kind of become iconic for his character, and admittedly, Waluigi doesn't get enough love in terms of games and stuff, because, I mean, he really only has, like, the spin-offs to show, like, his personality. I do love how they've really adapted his personality in a lot of, like, the golf and tennis games, though. I think he's so goofy, and a lot of times he's represented, like, using the rose. And using, like, a rose or just having, like, a very, like, elegant type pose, because I think he's also in charge of, like, I think this is also in Jamboree, but I think he's also in charge of, like, one of the, like, dance mini games in the rhythm, whatever you call it, like the rhythm kitchen, I think it is. So I really like how they've kind of adapted to that. But anyway, that'll be all for today. I will see you guys in the next one.